Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something that I've never actually done before, which is a palette bingo. So I'm going to be using my usage-focused pan that palette for this year, which is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette, and doing a randomized palette bingo to put together an eye look. I actually got this idea from my friend Daniela, who is always giving me such creative ideas for makeup and for videos, so thank you to Dan if you're watching. If you've never seen a palette bingo before, people do them all different kinds of ways. The general idea is that you will take any palette and you will randomize a certain number of shades to use in an eye look. So typically it can be a little bit of a challenge because you're picking out colors that you might not always put together, but it also can lead you to coming up with a unique and more creative look than you would normally wear. The Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette is a 35 pan palette. So the way that I've decided to do it is to use the Pretty Random app. So I'll put in numbers 1 through 35 and then I will randomly generate 5 shades. I feel like 5 is a good number where I'm still going to be challenged to make use of 5 colors in a look, but it's not so challenging that I feel like I'm just gonna hate the results because I do have to wear this eye makeup out after this video. And then I will just count over to the shade that corresponds with the number that I pick. So number 1 is going to be starting in the top left-hand corner, and number 35 is going to be all the way down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So I've pulled up my Pretty Random app on my iPad, and I'm going to go ahead and randomize the first shade. So here we go. Shade number 12. So let me dig into the palette and figure out which shade that is. Okay, so shade number 12 is Hunts, which is this dark kind of burnt orange shade. Starting off with a very, very warm look so far, so let me just give this one a swatch for you. It's kind of like a nice pumpkin spice kind of a shade. Let's go again for shade number 2. And it gave me the number 2 for shade number 2. So going into the palette here, we have 1 and 2. So this is the shade called Beam, which is a really nice kind of light champagne shimmer shade that I typically use for my inner corners. I'm glad that so far I've got a pretty clear transition type shade and an inner corner shade. That's building the look out nicely so far. Let's randomize again for shade number 3. And it gives me number 8. Number 8 is this yellowy shade here called Creamsicle. Give that one a swatch for you. So far, this is a pretty warm, summery, kind of sunset type of vibe. Let's hope that things continue to be cohesive with the last 2 shades. Okay, fingers crossed. Shade number 4. Number 16. I'm nervous. So we've got 7, 14, 15, 16 is the shade SBN, which is a rose gold kind of burnished copper shimmer shade that leans pretty brown. So far, I feel like I can make this work. Here is what the color story is looking like with the first 4 shades. But you never know what's gonna happen on shade number 5. So here we go. Number 19, what's it gonna be? So that was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we just got the shade Buns. Okay, Buns is another pretty easy transition type shade. It's a brown, but it's got a little bit of warmth and orange to it, almost like a terracotta. Give that one a swatch for you. And here is our color story. So definitely giving summer sunset vibes or almost like autumnal pumpkin spice vibes. So let's see what we can do here. I think I'm going to use I think I'm actually going to use Creamsicle in the crease. I'm going to use Buns to start to deepen up the crease, and then I will put Hunts in the outer corner, and then that just leaves SBN all over the lid and Beam on the inner corner. So it seems like the palette bingo gods were fairly kind to me for my first one. Zooming you in so you can see a little better. I'm just gonna start with a big fluffy brush and the shade Creamsicle, which is that yellowy goldenrod kind of shade, and start putting that through the crease. And since we have a couple of shades going in the crease, I'm gonna take this one up quite high. I have found, since I've been working on this palette and trying to use all of the shades 10 times this year, that I'm surprised by how orange a lot of the looks turn out. I don't know why I never was able to put two and two together about how warm this palette actually is. But I think when you first look at it, maybe it just looks more neutral, especially in comparison to some other palettes I've had, like the ABH Modern Renaissance. But if you like a warm eye, which I know was really, really trendy when this palette first launched, this is actually a really great palette for that. I feel like I'm always really intimidated by yellow eyeshadow too, but this one, this shade Creamsicle, just blends out kind of into almost like a natural, more neutral skin tone kind of a version of yellow, so I actually shouldn't be as scared to use it as I am. Okay, I'm going to take Buns on that same brush and just go a little bit lower into the crease to start building this out. Have to say I'm a little bit nervous about reaching my goal of using all the shades 10 times in this palette before the end of the year. I'm really glad I didn't try to hit pans in this palette because I'm finding a lot of the shades to be really hard pressed. Oops, brush hairs are shedding everywhere on me. But even using them all 10 times is kind of a big ask for such a big palette. So I definitely set myself a challenge, but then I see all these other people hitting all kinds of pans in their Pan That palettes, and I'm like, I feel like I should not be having as much trouble as I am, but you know, it's only April. So maybe I can really hit the ground running this summer and make some really good progress. Okay, I think that crease is looking good, nice and blended out. So I'm gonna go in with a smaller, denser brush and that first shade that we pulled called Hunts, which is that really, really orangey shade. And start to deepen up that outer corner. I'm hoping that maybe this can remind those of you that have this palette though to get it out and use it, because I feel like so many people have this palette, but it's been a while now since it launched. I don't even necessarily remember when it came out, and I didn't even get it right when it first launched, so I know some people have like the original Morphe packaging, but it's just a staple in so many people's collections, and I feel like it's hard to remember some of those older palettes and to bring them out and get use on them. I'm just taking a little bit more of that shade Buns to blend this out. Something else I've been thinking about, and I actually asked on my Instagram stories today, is making some more content around eyeshadow palettes like this one that a lot of people have and have had for years in their collections. Yeah, I feel like it's been really tempting to get caught up in the YouTube rat race of trying to purchase lots of the newest releases and stuff. And I know for my own collection personally, I have so many eyeshadow palettes and so much makeup already in general that I don't want to forget my main goal, which is always to get use out of what I already have. So if you didn't catch it on my Instagram stories, maybe you can let me know down in the comments below if there's a palette that you have in your collection that you've had for a while that you would like to see some looks using, to just kind of get some maybe inspiration to see how somebody else uses the palette. And if I have that palette in my collection, my plan is to try and make some YouTube videos, maybe multiple looks, one palettes, or just, yeah, maybe even just one or two looks using that palette, just to kind of remind us all of eyeshadow palettes from the past. Okay, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm actually gonna go back into Buns, and I'm just gonna use that in the outer corner as well to see if I can tone down a little bit of the orange and also build up a little bit more depth, because that shade Hunts really shears out. And I feel like Buns has a little bit more brown to it that might go better with our rose gold shimmer shade. The other thing I could do, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, is palette bingos, more palette bingos with some of our old faves. I feel like that would be really fun. I know I have multiple palettes from several brands too, so it might be fun to do like a full brand palette bingo. I've seen people do those videos before, and those are always super fun to watch. Having to do this basic idea but dipping into multiple palettes, I feel like it definitely randomizes the color story that you end up putting together a look with. So let me know in the comments if that is also something you'd be interested in. Always looking to hear ideas from you all about what you actually want to watch. Okay, I'm just gonna dip quickly back into that shade Creamsicle and just blend over these edges here to make sure all of that is nice and diffused. Okay, so we've actually only got 2 shades left. So I'm gonna go into SBN with my finger. And I'm not sure how this is gonna pair with the oranges, but I'm just gonna put it all over my lid and hope for the best. You know what? I don't think that looks too bad with the oranges. I feel like it almost grounds the look a little bit. And makes it a little bit more neutral brown. I mean, definitely still warm and orangey, but I actually like the way that that pairs together. I never would have paired the oranges with that shimmer shade. I always pair this shade with browns. I think that looks pretty good. Who knew? I got a little wild on this inner corner here, so let me just blend that out quickly. Okay, and then for the lower lash line, I'm gonna start with Buns and put that all underneath my lashes. And I'm using the same brush that I was using earlier, so it has a little bit of that orange, deepest orange Hunts on it too, to help tie the look together. And then I'll just blend out the edges of that slightly with the shade Creamsicle. Okay, and then our very last shade is the shade Beam. So I'm just gonna get that on my brush and put that right in the inner corner to highlight. I actually really love the brighter, lighter shimmers in this palette. I think they're really nice for inner corners. And that is basically the look. So it ended up being kind of like an orangey smoky eye, which is really cool. Like I said, I never would have paired this lid shade with the orangey crease shades, but I think it actually turned out pretty nice. So let me go do some mascara and eyeliner, and then I will come back and show you the finished look. Okay, so I am back with mascara and liner on. I actually used 2 products that I've really been enjoying lately, so I thought I would share them with you. The first is the Huda Beauty Creamy Kohl Longwear Eye Pencil in the shade Very Brown. I received this in PR through Skeepers, but I'm really, really enjoying it. It has the tiniest little pencil tip to it, so it's really easy to just get a fine line for a wing, and I even put a little bit in the waterline just for fun. But this is a really nice, long wearing, easy to use, creamy, but doesn't smear around and definitely stays put on your eyes kind of a product. So I've been using this a lot lately. And then the other thing is the Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. I've heard so much about this mascara over the years. It has a lot of hype surrounding it. And I would say for good reason. Like, I even forgot to curl my eyelashes before applying it, and I feel like my eyelashes still look pretty good. But the main thing that I love about this is that it doesn't smudge on me. So my main complaint with most mascaras is that they smudge up onto my brow bone or onto my under eyes. And because this is a tubing formula, it doesn't do that, which is revolutionary for me because even waterproof mascaras sometimes still smudge on me. So I'm really, really enjoying this. I definitely had some doubts about it because tubing formulations that I've seen other people use in the past don't tend to be known for their volumizing properties. It's more about lengthening the lashes and obviously keeping them from smudging. But I feel like I still get great volume, and it also holds a curl or even kind of helps to curl my lashes. Like I said, I forgot to curl mine with my eyelash curler, and I feel like my eyelashes still look a little bit curled. So I thought I would share those two things because they are some products I've been loving lately. And here is a close-up of the eye look, the mascara, and the liner all together so you can see what I'm talking about. I feel like my eyelashes have lots of volume and length, and they won't smudge, which is great news. And here is how the finished look turned out. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching today. I had a lot of fun putting together some shades that I normally wouldn't pair together and also getting some more uses out of my Project 10 Pan palette. Again, thank you to Daniela for giving me this idea. If there's other palette bingos that you would be interested to see from me or brand-wide palette bingos that you would like to see, let me know in the comments. Other than that, I hope you are doing well. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you. Until then, I will see you in the next one. Bye.